And we are going to see Kurt on this Akali pick, which we didn't quite get to touch on, but I think this is a very interesting matchup. I kind of expect him to go for the tank version with, of course, the Turbo Chem tank, which is like, yes, it's nerfed on Akali, but it's still usable. And in this instance, I think you just want to be as annoying as possible rather than just one-shot the backline.
Yeah, I do think that's going to be an interesting thing here, putting this into Kurt's hands. It's also kind of saying, hey, let's go, because we've got Ignite TP on both sides. That I expect from ICU. But Kurt is a bit of an unknown quantity here. I feel like we haven't really got a feel for what this guy can do. And, I mean, talk about a road test. ICU is going to try and pound him into the dirt, so we'll see if there's a difference to be made.
Yeah, and I am absolutely cheering for Kurt here because I feel like he's just been done dirty too many times by this Frank roster, whether it's been through draft or been through gameplay and not really help facilitate his gameplay this time around. Should be very interesting as they're going to fight for bush control, and neither team will be able to save their own ward. But when it comes to range versus melee matchups, that bush control in that middle bush is actually pretty important. It gives you, allows you to dictate a lot when it comes to this lane phase. And surprisingly enough, we are going to see Frank Esports get the first shove. Of course, with double range, that can certainly happen. But usually we do see Jinx be able to get control of that first push because of that rocket.
Yeah, you can get a lot of poke out early on. The AoE certainly makes a big bit of difference. And always want to keep an eye on the top lane because even though at level 1 we don't usually expect to see the all-ins, again, ICU is not a usual player. This is a man who named himself Aurelia Carryu, and I think that tells you all you need to know about the mindset of how he approaches the top lane.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been really trying his darndest to carry this squad. He's done very well when it comes to early on in the game. It's just sometimes the game just gets a little bit too far out of hand when it comes to the 5v5s with the rest of the team falling behind, that one man just can't do it all sometimes.
Yeah, that's been the issue, right? Like it's early game, but Hurricane just seemed to have such a hard time doing much outside of that. With Bang 2 just trying to hold on and carry. And that's the lack of coordination. But, you know, yesterday, it looks so much cleaner. Admittedly, it's against a Sen 9 that haven't found their team identity yet. But, I mean, it kind of proved they can win games, and that's already a big improvement over what we saw in Alpha Esports last summer.
Yeah, and Sen 9, they did start out that game very, very well. Credit goes out to Hurricane Gaming to be able to find the opening to swing things back around. And now Hollow will take this bottom scuttle. We'll see if he decides to go a little bit aggressive towards this bottom lane. But Aliao is also in this half of the map. And well, I'm not sure if Hollow knows, but he can go for the double scuttle, which would be a really nice advantage for him.
I don't think he's aware of it at the time, but did know that there was no ward down in the river brush if he wanted to try and make a play. But of course, Bang 2 and Enhao playing very safe. The shove is on here. Eminem and K2 will be able to get this in, but they got to be careful because here's Olio around, and Eminem stepping right into it as he gets the ward down at the worst possible time, instantly flashes to dodge all the skill shots. But they do turn onto Enhao, not stepping on the flame chompers as well. It was a nice turn, but burning flash. That's a feels bad, man.
Yeah, that's really nice, at the very least, from Hurricane Gaming to get that flash out. However, they do lose a pretty sizable chunk of their health bars in order to get that. And Aliao, he's just going to brute force this, but they have full vision on him.
Yeah, and Enhao is a little bit low right now. This is, I think, maybe a bit ill-fated, so he'll choose to back away. They're calling for help. Meanwhile, up in the top, some love taps traded back and forth. I can't wait for level 6, man. This is going to be explosive.
Absolutely. And ICU, he is going to be in. Oh,
well, there we go. Already burning the Ignite. He wants the dive. Oh, Gwen is not immune. Oh, they traded. And it was Akali that got the first blood, I think. No. don't
No,
know.
no, no.
It was Gwen. Okay.
Gwen that got first blood. And more importantly, ICU gets that kill under tower, so Kurt actually loses a couple minions in that instance. Now the wave's going to start bouncing back towards ICU, so it's very much worth it for Gwen in that exchange. Alio is just going to start out the dragon right away. Starts it off with the smite, knowing that he has 2 charges. And they're actually just going, like, this is the dragon timer I expect to see when it comes to taking dragons, because that's a 5.5 minute dragon right there.
That's like half the time we saw in the first 2 games. We really, I do think our first 2 games of the day, like, really had very low prio on the dragon, and that kind of surprised me, to be honest. But both teams clearly had a lot more on their mind. There was a lot more Rift Herald focus, and that is something about the PCS, is that I think we have a higher concentration of teams that are willing to handshake Rift Herald.
Yeah, Rift Herald's certainly an interesting one. I think some of that may have come from last split where PSG really...
Oh!
Okay.
Double root! Yeah, they're going to get this out. Hollow
Okay.
waiting in the wings. They're going to look for
Good
Bang
chase.
2. And how can't quite get him in time.
Good finish.
Didn't have 6 either. No Swallow, no Devour available. And well played. A few attempts later, Hollow comes up with a kill for his team.
And Frank Esports getting off to a good start. And that's really nice to see there. Is one of the difficult parts of ganking a enchanter bot lane is you don't necessarily have the setup, but thankfully with the Dephilios you can set things up through the Philios, because he does have Gravitum here as he gets a double root, which means they're able to force their way past those Flame Chompers, able to get the tag onto Bang 2 as well. He really tried to play it as well as he could, got the Flame Chompers out, also tried to sidestep, but the sidestep wasn't enough, or wasn't good enough, and he does go down.
And that's why we see first pick Xin Zhao in League of Legends right now. Holo, though, is going to have to contend with Olio. He does have K2 at his back and help picks, but Chow Chow comes in as well, and the Shockwave is for the 2-lane Pretender. It's going to turn onto Cha Cha, though, and ICU knows there's no help. At the end of the day, it still ends up being a pretty good play across the board. Frank Esports getting 2 now.
What did I tell you, Pyra? Alia, he wants to flip the game more often than not, and all you have to do is make sure you match him once, take advantage of it, and what do you know? Hollow was there for the play. Alia goes in, and Hollow has the backup of his supports, and this is just, he has no business. Absolutely no business going for this play here. He wants to try and snipe it away, but all of a sudden, look at the position coming in from his top lane. Kurt's the first one to make the roam, and I mean, both mid laners roam about at the same time, so that's pretty much a wash. And Cha-Cha, he just donates his body to the cause. Frank Esports coming away with a clean 2-0 in that instance, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good, Pyra.
Feeling good if your name is Frank for sure. And meanwhile, Kurt's starting to show his carry colors right now against ICU.
Ooh, ah!
I don't think Gwen's immune for very long right now. A couple of shurikens tossed, and Holo's going to get this one donated straight to him. Dash and dive, and ICU is put in the hospital.
Nice kill there. Kurt starting to come on to his own, saying, hey, if the team's not going to play around me, I'll just play a Kali. You know, he pretty much makes his own plays.
Where's this guy been the first 4 games, man?
I mean...
No more Gragas for you.
Yeah.
That was great. That was really cool.
Gragas. But I think it also shows that, again, this team was put really last minute. I'm not sure if these players were comfortable at that point and wanted to play more of these slower standard compositions, because sometimes you get caught up in the meta. But now, trying to decide on their own, and now this bot lane coming under fire.
That's a good read. That's a good read from Eminem and K2, and this is kind of what we expect from this squad. They have a lot of experience. They have good game sense. Yes. They're already winning the lane, so they know that there is incentive to try and get a play going bot. I'm pretty sure Pretender called that Cha-Cha was out of lane. And that whole play is read like a book.
Yeah, and Frank Esports looking a lot better when it comes to coordination, or at least communicating across here, because we saw the roams together coming in from K2 Hollow. This is essentially the synergy we expected to see with the amount of experience coming in from those three members. But now, you know, Kurt and Pretender, they're starting to find a little bit themselves here. We'll see if that continues forward through the rest of this game. Of course, it's only 10.5 minutes. There's plenty of game to be played. But at the moment, 2.5K gold lead for Frank Esports. The Mountain Dragons now live. And with these, with the extra power you have coming in from your laners right now, hopefully they can come around, set up, and try and find a fight around here, or they can kind of pass things up, because again, they do scale pretty well with the Orianna Affiliates.
Yeah, teleport's not available just yet. I think they might give this one away. They might go for the play. Instead, Olio gets swallowed up by Enhao. That's probably going to be the end of that, but nicely played by Hurricane on the timing. But at the same time, you know, I think you're right. Frank, they're definitely showing the level of synergy we would have expected had this team maybe had a little bit more time to play together. We don't know exactly when the roster was finalized, but, you know, that's always a lot of question marks. And then you have to get that practice, get that synergy built on the Rift itself, which is always tough. We saw Sem9 struggling with it earlier today. Now Frank Esports are starting to come into their own, and again, I think this is a squad that you have to consider a dark horse. It's still very early days as Bang 2 gets fired down on Hollow, going to fire him down. A little bit of
they should just
tip
leave
with the spear at the end, and now they're going to try to get out in time. Maybe still some kinks to work out as they overstayed their welcome there. Nightstar, Hurricane are going to... Wait a minute, Kurt, what are you doing? Oh, he's inside the smoke. I don't know if he can ninja his way out of that one, but he certainly can, I guess. That was a bit of a heart attack moment. And they're right back to the push.
That was pretty fancy, but I don't think they can do a whole lot here. It is a 4v4 down in this bottom lane, but I mean, they don't have anyone to really shove in. Of course, Aphelios, yes, he can do damage to a turret, but he is still low range. We get to see the replay. Oh, he took the free teleport.
Oh my goodness, you have got to be kidding me. That is the coolest, the dopest ninja thing I have ever seen. I didn't even realize that's what happened.
Of course,
what
as a
the
collie,
absolute hell?
Yeah, as a collie, you can follow. Your shuriken is global, so that's what happened there. Kurt, he didn't need to teleport to the play because he had shuriken flip, and what do you know? ICU was his bus all the way to bot.
All right, Nightstar. I am on Team Frank right now. Where do I get my merch? How do I get a shirt with your name on it? All right, this Kurt. Where has this Kurt been?
Oh, I'm very happy to see that we do see this Kurt now, and it's a 2v2 up here. Can he perform?
Well, Olio follows the chase onto Hollow. It's a little bit tanky here, and I think they can turn this. The tower is Swiss cheese at this point. There's not much left in it. Chacha gets a free plate, but I mean, yeah, okay, cool. That's fine. Yeah, Frank Esports on the momentum swing at the moment, still with a pretty healthy gold lead of just under 2,000, and they should be able to extend that a little bit here by knocking down first brick.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about giving a plate over to this Rise because it is tank Rise, so not too scared of that. And when it comes to this top side, you were able to get first brick gold along with that last plate onto Kurt and split it with Hollow. But more importantly, Kurt out to a really comfortable start here. Even in CS, 1-1 and 2. So yes, belt. ICU does have that extra kill, but you look at the item differential, and he does have the rock belt with the Sork boot. So a lot of burst potential coming in from this 2-item combo. Yeah,
and you know, crucially, I think one of the questions we had for Frank was like, we're kind of holding out for a hero here, like in this squad. We wanted to see what they could do, if it was going to be Pretender or Eminem. Eminem's definitely been stepping up, but Hollow in this game has been everywhere he's needed to be. I know you had some very strong opinions about him for what happened with Kurt in that Enchanter game, but at the same time, I'm really liking these engages he's bringing. I think the team is playing around him, but Kurt is the unlikely hero that has stepped up to make some plays and neutralize ICU, arguably one of the stronger parts of this Hurricane roster. But meanwhile, Olio going to try to get the fancy footwork in, and he can't quite do it through the flash. Excuse me, through the dash there. As Eminem and K2 again read a bot gank, or at least react in time. Well played.
Yeah, and now they could have Kurt teleport down here, as he's going to have the teleport advantage. Remember, he did kind of take a trip down into the bot lane with some help. Ooh,
no way! Oh, the flash! It's a K2 kill Sakir. And you could tell they just baited that so hard. They knew he did not know he was on a ward, and now Shelly's going to get shepherded to another charge here. It's all coming up Frank right now.
It's looking good. I am pleased with the results so far in this game, as Frank Esports, they are out to a 7-2 lead when it comes to kills, but also 4.5k gold lead is even more impressive here. We'll see how it's distributed. Obviously, a lot of kills onto the Xin Zhao, but he is behind in farm, so Alio has been able to find that. But at the same time, you know, Alio's tendency to try and flip, so I can understand why Hollow is trying to match the roams and sacrificing a couple of his camps to do so, because he knows, like, all I have to do is be in the right place one or two times, and that's pretty much game over because of the tendency for Alio to flip the game like that.
Yeah, and really just Frank Esports doing their homework on what this squad likes to do and trying to outplay them at it and deny their ability to do it. They also cut off the Drake stack by taking down that Cloud. They'll be able to secure bottom tier 1. And with all the outers destroyed and none on the side of Hurricane, this opens up the map and gives a lot of options to Frank Esports.
Yeah, and now things get really hard to play out for the side of Hurricane Gaming, because now that you're out of lane, you needed to get more from the lane phase, especially with this Rise, who is 0-1-1. Hasn't done a whole lot on this pick.
Nope.
Really needs to, because now that it's getting to that team fight phase, unless if he just finds a bunch of 1v1 kills in the side lane, now you have to try and navigate the Orianna ball. Now you have to navigate the slow coming in from Lulu, the knockback coming in from Hollow's ult, and Kurt trying to dive your back line. Yes, you're tanky, but because you're tanky, you're not super helpful in providing peel for your Jinx.
Yeah, that's always the threat, right? So Bang 2 is going to have to try and come up with something if his team can keep him safe. And there's always pop-off potential in a Jinx, but so far, Frank Esports have shored up their advantages all across the way. Eminem has been able to stay safe and deathless despite multiple attempts on his life. It's been a really good job by Frank to really keep themselves at arm's length from Hurricane Gaming here. And I feel like we're kind of in the waiting game for the Baron and the Dragon. Those are the objectives that are going to be the next up on the menu. Of course, Baron a little bit later. Frank would not be looking to contest that very early on and give the straight-up 5v5 over. Kurt wants to head back up and deal with ICU once again in the 1v1. Should be able to do it despite being down a level. Yeah, kind of weird tipsy, topsy-turvy situation. And ICU doesn't want to face it. This is the first time we've really seen ICU kind of afraid to take a 1v1. And maybe I was wrong about that, because now Gwen is immune. Kurt actually bites off more than he can chew, and Olio comes in and kicks him in the back of the head.
Unfortunately, he took that fight when the rest of his team were in a 4-man death squad covering this mid-bottom half of the map. So even in that situation, like, if someone else shows up, you're in a guaranteed 1v2 situation or 1v more situation, because for sure your team is too far away to try and respond and bail you out. In the end, like, ICU didn't really need his help for that fight, but thankfully for you know, the rest of his squad, we're able to find something to trade off of. They're able to really ransack that top or bottom half of the jungle, take all those camps for themselves, take a bunch of farm and crash those waves here, and now it sets them up relatively well to go ahead and contest this next dragon in 2 minutes because of where they've positioned themselves, and now they have the opportunity to get really nice resets.
Yeah, so still set up in a good position as we crest that 20-minute mark. Questionable single decision by Kurt, but doesn't get punished too heavily for it. Loses a tower, does give some gold to Hurricane, but certainly nothing they can't recover from. And we will be keeping an eye on that Dragon timer as both teams try to set up and jockey for the position. Curiously empty of wards down on that bottom half of the map, but that is probably about to change. And K2 waiting here with Eminem in the wings and hoping somebody goes for the juicy dangling bait of the Aphelios by himself, air quotes, in the mid lane, but not anymore, not anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Eminem was looking for a recall here, because if you look at the AD carry comparison here, when it comes to itemization, we do have completed 2 items onto Bang 2. Interestingly enough, he has gone for the Kraken Slayer, which means that his damage output's going to be a little bit higher, but the issue is there's not a whole lot of protection for him. So if he gets caught, he's just dead. He doesn't have a cleanse, he only has 1 flash, the heal's not going to be too productive for him, and he doesn't have a great defensive support. He has, yes, a Tom Kench, but I don't think that's going to be enough to protect him.
Yeah, and look at this. This is, I don't know if they have the damage for it, but they might. Oh, dear.
Oh, they're spotted.
Yeah, and they were only ICU and Olio. I feel like that was not a serious attempt, but you know what? Bluff called.
I mean, with the CDR coming out from ICU, he might have had enough snips to be able to really actually make a case
talk about
for
a flip there. Oof.
That. Yeah, I mean, it for sure would have been a flip. But if you're able to get away with it, why not go ahead and try it? See if Frank Esports do forget about that objective. But it will be the Dragon going down into the hands of Frank Esports. That's great for them because they've really stifled the stacking now, and they're on their way towards getting that Soul Drake themselves. So the extra move speed is really, really insane, and the slow resistance because of the fact. I mean, look at Hurricane Gaming. You don't have any ways to just jump on you unless if you get this god tier Rise ult. You just kind of run away from them. The extra move speed makes it harder for Hurricane Gaming.
Oh, Holo's actually going to get caught out on a ward clear right now.
All right, he's great.
And he's dead. Thanks to
big heal.
Wait a minute! Oh, I don't believe it!
It's just a bait.
All of the support
Eminem
has come in there, and they're trying to cut him down, but I don't know if it's going to be enough.
The backline,
Holo is still alive as ICU goes at snipping. 2 for 3, but Holo, the one who started this all, is getting away with it scot-free, and ICU is just caught out in the wrong half of the jungle. Let's see if he gets out of there one alive. I think he might. Kurt goes on the follow. Here's Cha-Cha, and no, he can. That's going to be one. That's going to be the root. That's going to be the flash. Pretender is the one to finish the job. What a ridiculous fight that turned out to be.
I want to see the replay because while on screen, we saw that it was just really focused on Holo, but on the back end, it was the solo laners teleporting in and really taking control of the fight on the back end. It really was kind of a dive both ways coming in from both squads here, and Holo, he just gets so much value out of that Gore Drinker. He gets a 4-man heal, and he just buys so much time. Eminem, unlucky. He is the one that has to take the fall for his jungler, but on the back half, you see the teleports come in, a lot of pressure tossed down, they delete Bang 2. I believe they were all, I mean, they also get the top Kench in that instance. And, yep, we get to see the chase down afterwards, and there's really no one to deal with Kurt. Like,
yeah,
they have no answers for him. You're a tank Rise. You don't do anything.
I know that you really don't like this champion build. Anyways, yeah, Frank, like, I guess, kudos to turning Holo getting caught into a fight in your favor. I mean, not only the Gore Drinker, but the Wild Growth comes out at the perfect time. ICU is going to get a tower bot in frustration, but again, he's playing catch-up right now on the side lanes, and now it's going to be Barret bait time, and Cha-Cha's caught out in no man's land. That Rune Prison does not have a long enough sentence, my friend, and Holo is on top of him. So is Kurt. they can't quite finish him off, so I suppose Tank Rise at least doesn't die when he's caught out.
That is very true. He does not die when he makes some positioning error. And that means you bought enough time. You don't die, which means that you still have the numbers needed to try and contest this Baron if you are able to get back here in time, as he does use the Realm Warp to arrive. And they have teleport onto ICU, but they're trying to buy time for him to take this inhib tower and then go for the fight.
They got to turn it. They got to make a decision. And oh, Kurt just blows the Benhao, looking for even more here. But on the base right now is the Gwen. ICU trying to make it happen. Baron goes down. So does Benhao. And so does Kurt. Can they stop ICU? He's already got everything he wanted.
It's 1-for-1. You would say that, I mean, like, short-term advantage goes to Hurricane Gaming because they were able to get themselves that bot inhib, but I mean, very shortly, within the next 2 minutes, you're going to see that advantage swing back over to Frank Esports because they're going to be able to get a lot of map control with this Baron buff, shove out, get a lot of that gold. Of course, they also cashed in with the extra 1,500 gold from Baron buff as we get to see the replay. A solid ult coming out from Pretender, hits 2 people, as we get to see it come out right about now.
I'll wait for Kurt to dive in.
And boom. Soon.
Yeah, it's happening.
Soon.
Eventually. There we go.
Boom.
That opens up.
Kurt goes in.
Good Moonlight Vigil too. Like that's the other thing is Eminem really made his ultimate count on that. They really didn't have a chance to contest anymore. Olio was low. Sure, he could have gone for the 50-50, but it wasn't really a 50-50. And he was definitely going to die. But, I mean, honestly, the big thing for me in all of that is ICU just chewed up towers and got an inhibitor while it was all happening because of how much time that Hurricane bought. And the fact that they only lost Enhao is actually pretty big.
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't that bad of a trade coming in from Hurricane Gaming, given the fact that, again, this composition is not fun to play against an Orianna. You are Rise into that composition, very low range mage, and it's also a little bit frustrating to play out as the Gwen in some instances unless you get the perfect flank, and that requires ward coverage, and for the most part, Hurricane Gaming haven't been able to do that. No,
they have not. Shockwave is going to pull an Olio.
Looking to try and end.
He's going to get... Oh, no, he doesn't! Just deleted at the final second on the tick. Meanwhile, in the picture-in-picture, we've got a 1v1 going on here as Kurt and ICU are tangling with the smallest of health bars, but the base is what we got to keep our eye on here, as it is a 4v3 to try and end the game here. Frank Esports can smell the win that they have been craving for oh so long here, only managing to get that one of the PCS as things are finally starting to come together. Yeah, it's going to be a long one. He's going to back away. Meanwhile, though, low health bars on K2 and Pretender, and they cannot end this.
Eminem
not here,
going
not
to
now.
town.
Super Minions, Eminem on the front line AD carry. You got to love the bloodthirstiness, but they've got to go home. We're not done with this game just yet.
No.
Kurt's like, I got the
here, please.
I got the party invite. Where's everybody? Oh, Kurt never changed.
In on Kurt. I mean, I feel like this has been a recurring issue, is that they're not on the same page. The 4-man is not on the same page as Kurt. Unfortunate that he has to burn his teleport, and that could be important coming in for the next dragon, but it is, of course, Loud Soul on the table for Frank Esports. They might go ahead and chase to start out a fight.
I'm not getting excited for Holo getting caught. I won't get excited for Holo getting caught. Yeah, no, that's it. I don't think Hurricane want that fight. Now, interesting enough, there's super minions on both bot lanes now, and that's one of the reasons it was hard for Frank to push this in. And now they're going to go for mid. That could change the calculus, but yeah, this is kind of on a nice edge despite the advantage. Look at ICU. He's spotted on that control ward, but he's going to go anyways. Right now, Gwen is immune. Right in the middle of the needlework trying to fly, and they will tag Olio in the kickback. Not enough to delete Holo, not even close.
Eminem going to town.
Here comes Kurt on the front. Eminem looking for more damage, but they retreat behind the turret, not losing anybody. Oh, never mind! Pretender takes down Olio, and that changes things here. Look at those low health bars looking for more. I bet they wish they had a Jinx Rocket, but the Moonlight Vigil seemed to be solid enough. And they'll back away for now. Nothing to take on the map except the turret up top.
Ends up being a 1-for-1. Kurt goes a little bit too far, gets punished in that instance. But the side of Hurricane Gaming, they don't have the power to continue to push forward into this Aphelios. Trying to deal with Lulu Aphelios is just way too difficult, especially when he has Severum, Crescendo, and also that Bloodthirster. You can see how massive these shields are, and even if you're able to get through the shield, he heals for so much. They don't have any heal cut for this man, and they don't have the burst damage for this man because they're running a tank ride.
It all comes back to that in the end. Yeah, you know, it feels like slowly but surely, despite Hurricane's best efforts, they're just going to run out of steam here. Unless
Gwen.
Or Jinx. Because there is an eye edge that just got bought, and that's not nothing. But let's take a look at this fight again. ICU gets the flank. He's obviously spotted a mile away from this, but they opt into the fight anyways, and, you know, they keep it close.
Yeah, but because he's spotted this far out, it allows Frankie Esports to at least recoup and figure out how they want to try and disengage and reset the fight, and that's how it happens. They're able to get the reset off. Kurt, unfortunately, gets a little bit too excited to try and help finish off some of these kills as Pretender. Yep, that's... like, whenever Hurricane Gaming, they want to step up and try and chase things down, they immediately get stifled by that ball.
Kurt and ICU are just...
He's 2 levels down.
Yeah, they've got a vendetta, but Pretender's here. I mean, it's all evade. I don't know if Pretender wants this, actually. Kurt's gonna die. And
he's dead.
ICU, if he does this, he's a legend. He's an absolute legend. I don't think he will. But he's gonna try it. No, okay, never mind. I shouldn't have gotten excited. Meanwhile, on the mid lane, Holo goes in, the Moonlight Vigil gets popped, and Olio trying to frontline, but running out of health real fast as Holo dashes in on the Audacious Charge, goes for round 2, onto Bang 2, and there's nothing they can do. Double kill. Holo looking to clean things up. This has got to be GG, everybody. The ace comes in, and even K2 gets involved, and they're marching down mid lane.
Yeah, it ends up being ICU trying his darndest to try and carry, finds a 1v2 win down in that bottom lane. However, on the flip side, the rest of his team dies, which means there's really no one else to hold up the map. They can't protect the Nexus with 0 people alive, and Frankie Esports